Good morning. Welcome. Here we are in Luke chapter 10. There's so much in these verses, isn't there, that it's hard to read it quickly, and maybe we shouldn't read it too quickly. We should gain as much as we can from the word, and our focus, as always, is to keep Jesus at the center of our life. And we start in Luke chapter 10 with the sending out of the 70. At the beginning of chapter 9, we had the sending out of the 12 and the sending out of the 70 others. And that implies, it says to me that it was not the 12 plus 58, is it, people? It was 70 others. And the ministry of Jesus has obviously grown. And I think there must have been some period of time between these two but anyway, that's my summation of it. Anyway, Jesus sent, it says here, after this, the Lord appointed 70 others and sent them ahead of him 2 by 2 into every town and place where he was about to come. So this was a slightly different strategy. With the 12, he sent them out and told them to preach and go to the different towns and then come back. And here he tells them to go and tell people he's coming. And that's a slightly different thing, isn't it? Tell them I'm coming. He said those wonderful words, the Lord of, pray therefore the Lord of the harvest to send out labourers into his harvest. And that, I think, describes all of us, whether we're evangelists or not. If we are living for Jesus, we are working in the harvest field. For some, the harvest has hardly started, and we're sowing seeds. For others, it's the time of harvest, and that's what evangelists really do. They harvest seed that has grown as a result of other people's ministry often, because it's almost impossible to meet someone for the first time and for them to know nothing at all before that, and to introduce them to Jesus and to bring them immediately to faith. It's very difficult to do that. And I think it's unwise because you don't get a chance to really think about what you're taking on when you decide to follow Jesus. So they were going to these towns and villages to tell them that Jesus was coming. And then he says to them that if the towns and villages, if people reject them, they are not to worry about it. They're just to turn their back on that village and move on. But he says then, it shall be more tolerable on that day for Sodom than for that town. And we get a glimpse, and this is my thought for the day really, we get a glimpse into the sadness that Jesus felt at times in his ministry, when people he loved, people he reached out to, simply did not accept, did not turn to him, did not think him worthy of anything. And he says this, he says then in the next verses, woe to you Chorazin, woe to you Bethsaida, if the mighty works done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago. And you feel the heart of God, the sadness. Jesus went to these places and demonstrated the kingdom, talked to them, sent these disciples to these villages and told them all about Jesus, told them all about the kingdom coming. And they rejected him. And he knew that if he'd been sent to Tyre and Sidon, who were not even Jewish towns, and preached the kingdom, they would have repented. And Sodom and Gomorrah, those very wicked places. Oh, how sad he was at times. And even Capernaum, which was the great centre of his ministry in Capernaum, in Galilee. I'm sorry, my cats are running all over the place and slamming doors, and I do apologise for the background noise. But he says in verse 15, and you Capernaum, will you be exalted to heaven? You'll be brought down to Hades. Capernaum was the place where he did lots of miracles, where Peter lived where Peter's family lived and the family of the other fishermen lived, many of the things that Jesus did were done in Capernaum. And even Capernaum did not respond to Jesus in the way he hoped they would. And you feel his sadness. You feel his sadness that despite the fact that grace is being offered, it is still possible for people who see the most amazing things to say, this isn't for me. I'm not embracing this. I'm not changing. I'm not turning. I'm not repenting. And the heart of God aches for those people more than our heart aches for the people that we know and love who do not listen, who do not respond, who do not see what has touched us so deeply as having any relevance for their lives. And they just carry on the way they are. They just can't. And it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. But know that the heart of God breaks for those people who don't respond. So we have to just keep witnessing. We just have to keep saying to people, Jesus is coming again. Get ready. He's coming again. And leave the outcome to God. And it gives us a great insight. It does give these verses give us a great insight into the heart of Jesus as he ministered. How sad he was when he spoke words of life, words of reality to, words of truth, demonstrated great miracles, and they simply didn't. How sad. Anyway, so if you've laboured over something and prayed over something for years and nothing has happened, you know that the heart of God aches as much as yours does. And the responsibility we have is simply to tell people. It's their responsibility how they respond. So that's it for today, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.